Hello everyone, my name is Seth and today I'm going to give you my review of Ready or Not 2. So after a few weeks, as you can see, I'm finally back home. It's so nice to be able to get back into the swing of things, trying to do videos more regularly and not have kind of a weird setup as I've been traveling. But while I was gone, I did get to see Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. And when this film was first announced, I was a little bit kind of confused because I really didn't think that there was much room for a sequel. But then it was announced that the original creative team was coming back for this film, and so I got excited. I think this is a very solid creative team. I really liked the first one, so I was excited for this film. I was really looking forward to it. But before we dive deep into the review, go ahead and like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. It would be really cool if we could get to 500 subscribers by the end of the year, so share this video around with any friends or family. It could really help the channel grow and it would absolutely make my day. So first and foremost, I do want to say that they actually do a really good job of justifying this sequel. They make it make sense why this whole film exists. They take that concept from the family in the first film and they expand upon it. They build on it. They build upon it in a way that makes sense. And they kind of expand this whole world and expand these kind of rituals that that family was partaking in the first one. So overall, yeah, I think right from the beginning, they do such a great job of saying, hey, this is why this exists. I won't spoil anything for you. I want you to be able to experience this fresh for yourself. But if you are one of the people who were wondering if this even warranted a sequel and how does this work, just trust me when I say that they do make it work. So this film actually picks up literally seconds after the first one ends, and they really throw you right into it right from the beginning. Our main character, Grace, and in turn the audience, is thrown right back into the story, right back into the action, and it picks up pretty quickly. You're not waiting around for a bunch of setup. And I think it's honestly a great decision to go ahead and throw us back into the action. I think for this film, the pacing is something that works for the most part. There's a little bit toward the end where I feel like they kind of stumble with the pacing a bit. Okay, well, I'll get to it in a second, but they struggle a little bit more than just a bit. But right from the beginning, we get into it, we get into the story, and we just keep going. There's new things that's brought up to Grace and to the audience, including a brand new character, Grace's sister, Faith. We never had any kind of mention of her in the first film, and so we are very quickly introduced to her. But the overall story does move forward very quickly as we're introduced to these new concepts and new characters. And even though it starts quick and it moves pretty quickly, I don't think it ever feels like it's skipping over anything. I don't feel like it's rushing for anything. It just has a very fast and kind of frenetic pace to it that works. It's something similar to the first film. And so the whole thing, once again, is to survive until dawn. And unlike in the first film, I think that is where this film falters. So in the first film, we kept ramping it up. We kept feeling more and more tense as it got closer and closer to dawn. You really had this ticking clock. And I really feel like we didn't get that in this film at all. It almost feels like the kind of ticking clock in the background getting to dawn doesn't seem like it's as much of a focus, which I think is a missed opportunity. But for a moment, we were starting to get there, and then I feel like the movie just slams on the brakes pretty hard. It's really the last bit of the third act that really kills the pacing, and it absolutely kills the pacing. It brings the whole film to a complete stop. All of the momentum that they had completely done for. So with that kind of being how we end the film, I think the ending was very much so a disappointment for me. It didn't have that same kind of feel that the first one did. So I think that really is probably the biggest issue I have with this film and with this script, is that toward the end of the third act, instead of continuing to ramp it up, instead of continuing to raise the stakes and continuing to put our characters in more and more danger, having that ticking clock until dawn, we just stop everything. However, I will say another thing that I did end up liking about the script is that they introduced, honestly, a lot of new characters pretty efficiently. A lot of the side characters, there's really not a lot to them. We basically get kind of one note. They kind of have one personality trait to them. Not 100% unlike the first film, but I think these characters have even less depth than the characters in the first film. But with that being said, it is kind of a shorthand for us to get the vibe of a lot of these new characters. But they also did a great job of introducing Faith to the audience. They give a really good, quick explanation as to why we had never heard of her before and where she was, and why she's being dragged into the story. And since both characters are thrown into the action right away, they do a good job of getting us to care about the new character, Faith. They do a really good job of building Grace and Faith's relationship. Even though their relationship is a dynamic you probably have seen before, I still think it's executed well. But the characters of Grace and Faith have really good chemistry. Part of that is credit to the script. Another part of that is credit to Samara Weaving and Katherine Newton. One issue I do have with their relationship, their struggles together, is that even though their conflict is understandable, and I will say it is done well for the most part, there's just a few times throughout the film where their arguments just kind of seem copy and pasted from other films. It seems like something you've seen a million times before. There was even a time in the film where I could even feel it starting to happen. I'm like, well, they're going to split. And guess what? They split. They had an argument. And I immediately knew what was going to happen. And it's honestly very cliche. It's a trope that you've seen over and over again. And if you're going to use a trope, I would like for you to kind of put your own spin on it. And they don't really do that. Another disappointment is that we really don't get much from Grace in this film. We don't really learn any more about her as a person. We get a couple of details on her relationship with Faith, but other than that, they don't really expand on her character. She doesn't continue to grow and change over the course of the film. I know they had a lot to introduce both character and plot-wise, but I feel like that's something that they should have put a little bit more care and attention to. Like I mentioned, also, we don't get a lot from the side characters. We get less than we did from the first film, which wasn't a lot to begin with. I feel like they try a couple of times to make us feel something, just even a little something for these characters, and I just don't. There's just not really any depth there. So while some of the script and other details like that is a little bit lackluster, the action is still good once again in this film. I still think the script is funny. It's not quite as funny as the first film, but it's still funny. So the horror comedy of it all still does work. This film's still bloody. It's still fun to watch. Overall, I think I kind of just have to say that this film does everything that the first film does, just not quite as good. And they're not like massive blunders that drag the whole film down and turns this film into like a 2 out of 10 or anything like that. It's just a lot of the things that they do here just aren't quite as good as the first one. Samara Weaving and Katherine Newton both are very good in this, and they need to be because they do kind of carry this film, but they do a great job at that. They have great chemistry together, and that is probably the most important thing with these two actresses in this film. And I love how much these two actresses do appreciate and love the horror genre, and they keep coming back. Neither of them really are given a lot of emotional depth to work with. The script just doesn't have much that they could really draw from for their performance, but they both have excellent horror final girl screams. They're just all around very solid in this film, and they have enough charm and enough personality and enough chemistry to get you to care about them and to get you to root for them. I did also like Elijah Wood and Sarah Michelle Gellar in this. Once again, they didn't really have anything to work with. They had kind of one-note characters, but they did those one notes very well. I think the cinematography in this film can be fun and creative from time to time. It's not something that's like groundbreaking or super outstanding with the cinematography, but it's just solid and it has a few creative shots here and there. One thing I do have to bring up though is at one point in this film, they break the 180-degree rule, and I don't know if that was done intentionally or unintentionally, but either way, it really didn't work for me. It just seems like it's a big mistake. It was just something that when I saw it, it was jarring to me. So overall, even though I have some complaints here and there, I did enjoy my time with Ready or Not 2. They did a great job just justifying this film's existence. Samara Weaving and Catherine Newton both are good. They have great chemistry. And they're solid even though there's not a lot of emotional depth or character depth to work with. This film has everything else that the first film had, just not quite as good. This is still a film that I enjoyed and I had a good time with, but I can't help shake the feeling that I'm going to get toward the end of the year. I'm going to look at the list of movies I saw for this year. I'm going to see this and I'm going to think, oh yeah, I completely forgot that this film came out this year. I think if you like the first one, if you like horror, specifically horror comedy, I would recommend going to see this. I think you will have a good enough time. If you thought the first one was okay, maybe horror comedy is not necessarily your vibe, maybe wait till it's on streaming or skip it. But I still had a good enough time with this. I'm going to give Ready or Not 2 a 3.5 out of 5. But that's it. That's my review of Ready or Not 2. Have you seen this film? Let me know what you thought in the comment section down below. Do you like this just as good as the original? Not as good? A little bit better? Let me know. I'd love to have a conversation with you about it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Don't forget to like this video, hit subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a video. You can follow me on social media pretty much anywhere at CinemaSeth, and I'll see you next time.